Hello, and thank you for watching my video on a Corvette C6 front brake service. I'm going to change the rotors and the pads on the front of this car, but as you'll see, I have a few issues as well along the way. First thing I'm going to do is remove the 22mm bolts that hold the caliper and the bracket that holds the caliper. And good Lord, I put those bolts on tight last time. So this is my 100,000 mile service, and part of my 100,000 mile service I am replacing the Michelin ASZP tires with new Michelins. And as you know, it feels great to have new tires on a car, but it even feels better if you do new tires and new rotors. The car rides so much smoother, or even just get your rotors turned. So for the Corvette base, I can get rotors for about maybe $60 per corner for rotors and ceramic pads. So to me, that's worth just going ahead and replacing the rotors, tires, pads, everything all at once. Also leading up to this, I noticed that when I put on the brakes, that my car would pull to one side. So I knew one of my calipers was having a problem, and it turns out that this is the caliper that has an issue. So I completely removed the caliper assembly from the front of the car, and go ahead and I pull that front brake rotor off. These are still the OEM wheel bearings. At 100,000 miles, they're still pretty good. I've already had to replace the rears. I'll probably replace the front maybe the next 100,000 miles just for security reasons. So I went ahead and I popped out one of the old brake pads and I left one in. And what I'm going to do with the one that's in there is I'm going to take a C-clamp and I'm going to tighten it down, and that's going to push my caliper pistons back up into the piston. So now we can just dispose of the other ceramic pad. So the problem I found with this caliper is the bracket that the caliper slides on, one of the slides has a bad seal. You can see it at the top where the seal's not, it's not connected to the bracket. The rubber's just kind of hanging there. So what I need to do is remove the caliper from the bracket and then remove that pin, that slide, from inside the bracket. So as you see, with the bolt removed, the caliper just slides out of the way. So this pin that I'm working on right now, this should freely spin. I should not have to beat this with a wrench. It should just spin free and slide right out of the bracket. So what I ended up doing was pulling the bracket off and putting it in a vise, prying that pin out of the bracket. Then once I got that pin out, I put it in the vise and I polished it up with some emery cloth. So now I lubed it up, I put a new seal on, and I stuck it back into the bracket. So this would be good for another 50 to 100,000 miles. I will probably be going out to eBay anytime and picking up a new one of these brackets just to have it on the shelf. I'm kind of particular about my cars and how I maintain them. So knowing that I have a new bracket sitting on the shelf, the next time I service my brakes, I'll just replace that bracket. There are definitely enough of them out with the people who have base C6s who have upgraded their brakes to something else, something bigger like the Z06 or the Grand Sport brakes. So right now I'm just putting on the new seal on the bottom pin. So with the new seal on, we want to put some marine grease, a light coat of marine grease, on that pin so it slides freely for another year or so until I service the car again. So what I'm going to do here is mount the bracket and then mount the caliper to the bracket and test it all out and make sure everything works. It's kind of easier to do this before I get the rotor in place. You don't have as much play once the rotor's on. So with the caliper assembly to my liking, I'm going to go ahead and remove it and prepare to put my new brake rotor on. So these are the new ceramic pads. You have two pads. One of them has a metal tang or prong that's riveted to the back of the pad. That's going to be your cheddar clip or your squeal clip. When your brake pads get low, that's going to make a squealing noise when that clip rubs against your brake rotor. Let you know it's time to service your brakes. I always put that inside so you don't have to see that clip when you're washing your wheels. I don't know. Some people are particular about that. I just don't want to see it. So here's my brand new Brake Labs drilled rotors. I also have the Brake Labs ceramic pads. Again, these are from brakelabs.com, and they are about $60 per corner to do your car. It's well worth it. They're good quality brake rotor, good quality brake pads. This is the fourth car that I've put them on. Those 22mm bolts can be a bear to get in and get lined up. And then now it's just time to cinch down those 22mm bolts. Once we get those tightened down, we're all done. Once I finished servicing all four corners of this car, I went ahead and I pulled a quart of .3 through the system. I sucked out all the brake fluid that was in the reservoir and put fresh brake fluid in it. And then I used my Mighty Vac and I pulled brake fluid through each corner of the car. And my brakes are almost perfect right now. I'd say they're perfect. I did it. So we're coming to the completion of this video. So this is how we put new brake rotors and pads onto our car. be sure when you're working on your car, especially around the brakes, that you inspect everything. If it doesn't look good, if it's not 100%, replace the part. I would like to personally say I think brakes are the most important part on the car. I would rather be able to stop fast and safely than accelerate out of control. So thanks for watching my video. I hope you've enjoyed it.